So you've probably asked yourself by now, why is the new Snow White actress not white? Could it be that Disney is forcing some kind of diversity quota down our throats? No, I'm telling you the real reason today just is this revelation that everyone's had. It's actually because the backstory of Snow White has nothing to do with her skin color. And she, at least according to the new plot that Disney has come up with, she survived a snowstorm when she was a baby.
Makes perfect sense. I mean,
so that's why her father gave her the name Snow White.
If I'm being completely honest, Snowstorm is a way cooler name.
Yeah. Wow.
Snowstorm. Here we go. Let's just watch I'll break it up here.
Sharing secrets with a stone.
It says, fearless, fair, brave, and true.
That's the amulet.
There.
My father told me long ago I braved a bitter storm.
See, there's the storm.
Right.
I wonder if they could have actually gone out to like an actual snowstorm to film this. They never film an actual snow.
Of snow, is that a girl I'll ever know?
I mean, she's in a carriage.
Did she survive?
She's surviving it is
They're making it sound like she was crawling through the snow.
Going like this. Like...
I'm picturing a 6-month-old baby crawling through the snow.
Nobody.
She survives.
These young kids, no trials and tribulations. They don't ever have to go through anything anymore.
So these are from the lyrics of one of the original songs for the movie, Waiting on a Wish. In case you didn't hear, my father told me long ago I braved a bitter storm of snow. That is the origin story they have come up with for her name so that they can avoid addressing the detail from the Brothers Grimm version of the story that she has skin as white as snow, and they did want to stick to the hair black as ebony, but that's fine. Whatever. Now, I don't know if Screen Rant has a specific slant. Have you noticed that they kind of cape for Disney a little bit?
I mean, they
were kind of backing this up.
Most of them do.
A canon decision.
Yeah.
They say Disney's live-action Snow White origin change copies a decision that Disney already made in Once Upon a Time, the series. Yeah. So they say that this origin story for Snow White's name originated all the way back then. The Brothers Grimm version of Snow White explains the origin of her name as purely based on physical appearance. The story begins with a queen sewing at an open window during snowfall. She pricks her finger with a needle and 3 drops of blood fall onto the snow on the black windowsill. The queen then says to herself how she wishes to have a daughter with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair black as ebony. Sometime later, the queen dies giving birth to a daughter she names Snow White. So they changed this for Once Upon a Time in, when was that? What year?
2010?
Either 2009 or 2010. It was revealed in Once Upon a Time that Snow White was born during one of the harshest winters in the Enchanted Forest, and her mother named her Snow White because of that. But also because of her skin tone.
I mean, this is a thing, right? Like, if you're from Minnesota, you hear about the Great Snowstorm of like 1986, or I'm sorry, of 1990, which, you know, I probably should have died trying trick-or-treating because it happened over Halloween. So they're like calling me Snowstorm because I was out trick-or-treating on Halloween.
Well, they're just desperately trying to argue that there is a precedent for this in other Disney content or in the original story itself. And it's not. It's just very blatantly a retcon that they made to allow themselves the race swap, because when they were in the middle of casting this role, race swaps were uncontested, the future of all roles. Like,
yeah, I feel bad for anybody.
These days, it's not the same.
Movies and television have vastly changed in how they are like looked at from just 2020.
Yeah.
It's just a very, very different world. Like I said, we're still getting the outcome of movies that look like they were made because they thought Kamala or Joe were going to win. And that's a thing.
Yeah, we're in a cultural limbo right now.
I mean, and that's
the live action Snow White is another example of that.
That's a misnomer anyways. They're like, this movie looks like it was made when they thought Kamala was going to win. I'm like, most of those movies were greenlit and written before she was even running for president, because she was barely running for very long because they didn't even have a primary.
Mickey 17 is the one that's getting most of those comments because there is a villain in that movie,
but that's
very blatantly based on Trump.
But that's about him, not about Kamala. That's different than like the movie G20 with Viola Davis, where they're like, I'm like, I don't know when that was greenlit, but I'm assuming it was greenlit and cast before any of this even happened.
I'm assuming
Maybe I'm wrong.
That's dead in the water now, right?
I mean, it's still gonna be coming out, but it's coming out to Amazon Prime. So,
okay.
I mean, if I wasn't sober and in recovery, I'd get drunk and watch that movie and react to it. But can't do that.
Rachel Zegler addressed comments that she allegedly doesn't like Snow White, and this was not even that long ago. It was only weeks ago. She said, "You're right. I love her."
The lie detector has determined that was a lie.
But if you love Snow White, why would you be in a movie that changes the entire origin of the character and everything about the story? Now, I was surprised that I hadn't seen this before, but she addressed these controversies all the way back in August of 2023 in the comment section on her YouTube channel. I had not seen these comments before, but she wrote this very, very long response. So this person commented, "In some interviews you said it's extremely dated, and I understand it's an old film, but other than that, what is really outdated about it? Just because she finds love and gets kissed by the prince? I know it was made a long time ago, but sometimes seeing hopeless romantic stories come true is all some of us that love the original want to see. There'll always be movies that people could make about being strong, independent women, but are you worried that not a lot of people are going to show interest because it's a lot different than the original?"
That's actually, okay, so here's an interesting idea. They talk about dated concepts in movies and stuff like that. So are we trying to say that, like, falling in love and romance is dated? It's like, this movie was made when blackface was okay, and this movie was made when romance on screen was okay, and those are supposed to be akin to the same thing.
Even
what does that mean,
is
dated?
Conceding too much.
Yeah.
But then Rachel Zegler decided to respond to this person and said, "Let me thank you for your lack of attack here. It means a lot to me. A lot of these clips," she's talking about clips of her D23 interviews, "are being compiled together to make it seem like I hate the source material. I am the biggest Disney fan and a huge Disney princess girl. Our reality is that it's a movie from 1937. No one has ever said that it's wrong to dream of love. No one has ever said that a woman must choose between her career and love."
Actually, plenty of people do say.
A lot of people say that.
You do kind of have to choose between
from
the two.
both sides of the aisle.
Like, that's actually one for very different reasons that both sides criticize as their own form of, like, ideologically formed pragmatism.
That is a lot of assumptions based off of small clips of myself saying that I was terrified of the original film as a kid because of a spooky forest scene, and told to really sell the fact that her character is much bigger and broader than "someday my prince will come" and wishing for true love. Greta Gerwig once wrote, this is a great way to start a sentence. Greta Gerwig once wrote, "Just because my dreams look different than yours doesn't mean they're unimportant." But she also wrote, "I am so sick of love being the only thing a woman is fit for. There is a dichotomy within women and within people when it comes to our lives and paths we take. The path I've taken in my own life has been very work-focused, and I found love along the way."
I don't remember the last time anyone said love was the only thing a woman was fit for. I don't remember the last time it was even the focus of these types of things. Do you? When was the last time people were like, like the Bechdel test, right? There was a joke. It was like, Oppenheimer doesn't pass the Bechdel test. And they're like, it's history. And it was like somebody on TikTok, they're like, acting like women in history were just like one-dimensional people. It's like, no, the point is that there wasn't enough time to focus on these characters because it's not about them, it's about Oppenheimer. I don't remember the last time they made a movie about a woman where the only thing about her was that she was in love. And even if you think of one now, the fact that you have to pause to think about it means that your assertion is inherently wrong.
Doesn't that go for most rom-coms?
When was the last that's all that is in a rom-com?
I mean,
aren't most rom-coms now something about balancing work and romance or a career
in
romance?
This isn't really a rom-com, but like Twisters, is that like about love?
No.
No.
I mean, it's more about redemption for her.
Okay.
Her friends die and she finds hunky Glenn Powell along the way.
Well, what about Anyone But You? That's just a run-of-the-mill rom-com. Nothing else really to it.
So then the idea here is like, first of all, that's like one example.
I guess it's thought of as lowbrow.
Yes.
That's the problem, is that anything that's just strictly a love story is seen as lowbrow and not deep enough.
Mm-hmm. Here's the problem. You're going against the instincts of women to not make more movies like that, because a fully formed woman in the real world who has a job, who has a career, who has maybe even a husband and kids can still watch a movie about a woman falling in love and understand that that's not all she is.
So she finished here, no one ever said that couldn't happen for Snow White, just that it isn't the basis of her character this time. Her I Want songs are not about wanting love and nothing more.
Then why not just why not make a new princess and tell a different story?
Though there's nothing necessarily wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
About wanting to be the leader her father knew she could be. People complain about remakes because there are no original ideas, and then they complain about the changes that many brilliant minds have thought of to make them more original. It's kind of frustrating.
Because you're supposed to make the original ideas part of an original movie, not part of something that already exists.
How could you miss the point that badly? Yeah. People complain about remakes because there are no original ideas, and then we make remakes and they're still complaining. What the hell? Yeah, because it's a remake. That's why they're complaining, because it's not original and you're just changing something that was.
It's insane.
How can you miss the point? Like, it was just whoosh.
No, here's the thing. I think that
Is that just being dishonest?
I think that she gets the point and just doesn't want to delve into it further. I refuse to believe she's smart enough. She's a career woman. She's made millions of dollars as an actress. I'm sure she's not dumb. She understands the difference.
I know she's not that dumb. That's for sure. It just seems willingly ignorant. So yeah, that's Rachel Zegler's official statement on that.
Yeah, it's very silly. And again, if you made an original Disney princess movie with a new character and you made these things, people still might criticize not having a romantic interest in it, because a lot of times these days they feel like they go out of their way to avoid those storylines because of traditional modern woman. But you're going to get a lot more leeway when you do something original. That's why there isn't a bunch of complaining about race and gender swaps when it's something new, because it's not swapped. It's just diverse on its own accord. Mm-hmm. Like I said, go watch the Fast and the Furious movies. It's like the most diverse movie you'll ever watch in your entire life.
Although, I will say, like, The Acolyte, for instance, original characters...
Well, it still has to be good. But I'm saying...
Original characters... They were picked and chosen for diversity purposes, in my opinion.
But it in Star Wars is a loaded gun in that realm, because it's so different from the original material. But if you're just taking in an original movie, what is Blake Lively's new movie?
Another Simple Favor.
And there's a bunch of characters in there, and everyone's like, they're all white. Mm-hmm. Like, you could have very easily made that movie diverse and nobody would have cared.
Yeah, but they shouldn't.
But I'm just saying they could have, and that's a lot of times what they end up doing these days. And it doesn't mean the movie's not going to suck, and it doesn't mean that people aren't going to complain about aspects of it, because if you cast someone and they suck, unfortunately nowadays people tend to go towards race as a reason for somebody sucking at acting, because they feel like they got hired ahead of a bunch of other more qualified people because of diversity quotas, and that's not inherently necessarily true. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of white actors who also suck. But the point is when you swap them out, that is immediately the first thing that they will go and criticize.
Right.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.